our protagonist trying to cope with his murderous habits. He spots Anna Yamada, a popular girl at his school and someone he wants to murder the most. He dreams about murdering her every night and doesn't like himself for it. Our protagonist flees to the library and spots Yamada eating some onigiri. He hides behind a bookshelf and spies on Anna. He finds her humming and hand gestures strange, proceeding to conjure a scheme to murder her. He notices Yamada's working on a social studies project and forgot her box cutter. He ponders what would happen if he lent Yamada his box cutter. After seeing her rip paper the old-fashioned way, our protagonist lends Yamada his cutter. Yamada thanks him, and he retreats behind the bookshelf. The bell rings, and Yamada leaves with his box cutter in her pencil case. As Yamada's classmate presents their project, the protagonist notices that Yamada looks depressed, leaving him angered. The group presents their project, and he spots Yamada crying in the distance. Suddenly, someone hears helicopters flying in the distance. Everyone looks in Yamada's direction. The protagonist uses his box cutter to tear up his project so no one will spot Yamada crying. His group partners scold him while Yamada asks her friend about the helicopter, proving he did it all for nothing. Later, our protagonist is walking down the street, questioning why he and Yamada keep crossing paths. He heads into a nearby bookstore to find the CIEL magazine Yamada discussed with her friends the other day. He finds the magazine, Yamada, and other girls in the store and hides somewhere. He watches Yamada acting strange toward them and wonders if she's trying to get noticed. She continues the act for a while but eventually leaves. Our protagonist heads home and looks into the CIEL magazine and sees several photos of Yamada. He throws it out and questions why he's getting worked up by the situation. In a flashback, we learn our protagonist's name is Kiyotaro Ichikawa. Kiyotaro heads to school and spots Yamada with another boy named Haruya. Kiyotaro questions if he's her boyfriend. He overhears them talking about lying. Kiyotaro follows them and overhears them discussing things like social media and ice cream. They stop, and Haruya demands Yamada add him online. Kiyotaro doesn't want to admit that he cares about Yamada's situation. He believes he's a messed up person, and resorts to sending his bike toward the two at incredible speeds. It misses and lands in the water. One of Yamada's friends tells her about the situation, and Yamada asks Kiyotaro why he did it. He cracks a quick joke, and Yamada laughs. Kiyotaro reflecting on the library being his safe space, and how he doesn't want anyone to enter it. At the same time, he spies on Yamada and notices she's eating candy for kids. Yamada struggles to find water to craft for her meal, and she spills water on the floor. Kiyotaro cleans it up, and Yamada arrives and says she planned to clean it later. She notices they only have 3 minutes of recess time left and hurries to get the water. Kiyotaro rushes to the home economics room to get her a glass. He returns to discover Yamada managed to get enough water to make her treat. Yamada notices Kiyotaro drinking from a glass and hands him her trash. She says he can keep it. He highlights Yamada's closest friend Kobayashi. He likes to refer to Kobayashi as Yamada's boyfriend and notes how Kobayashi doesn't ever complain. In the library, Yamada asks Kiyotaro to pass his fan over, and she says it's one of those fans that smell amazing. Yamada tells Kiyotaro to take a whiff, and as he smells the fan he notices that Yamada's wearing her swimming attire underneath her school attire. Yamada receives a phone call from Moeko and hides under the table. She asks Kiyotaro to cover the seat and hide her. Kobayashi enters the room and asks Kiyotaro where Yamada is. Kobayashi sits at the table, and Kiyotaro feels bothered. Kobayashi shares a tale about her and Yamada and says she likes eating. Kobayashi states how jealous she is of Yamada's personality and looks, while Yamada reveals herself and confirms Kobayashi's claims that she likes hearing people praise her. Yamada and Kobayashi leave. After summer break, the students prepare for the upcoming cultural festival. Kiyotaro's class is in charge of working on the haunted house. Yamada asks Kiyotaro if he can help with the decorations. Kiyotaro assists Hara with advice but gets distracted by Hara's chest. Suddenly, Yamada jumps out and scares Kiyotaro. Hara finishes and leaves, just as Yamada notices a gravestone drawing with her family's last name written on it. Kiyotaro wonders if Hara wrote it because she has a vendetta against Yamada. Adochi grabs Kiyotaro and asks if he wrote it. To avoid a conflict between both girls, Kiyotaro admits he did it. Adochi wants to beat Kiyotaro up to impress Yamada, but fortunately, Hara arrives and tells the class she wrote it because she was writing common last names and plans to erase the names. Kiyotaro helps Hara erase them, as Yamada huddles near him and apologizes while Kobayashi tells her to come over and practice her haunted house routine. Kiyotaro writes his family's name on the gravestone and heads to one of the stalls to wash his hands. He questions what Yamada meant by her apology when suddenly, Yamada startles him, and wonders if she'd be scarier if she was bloody. She starts messing with the paint, so Kiyotaro shows her how to make the paint look more like actual blood. They have a small intimate moment together, but Kiyotaro gets flustered and leaves. The culture festival begins, and Kiyotaro spots Haruya. Haruya joins Yamada and her friends in the fun, and although Kiyotaro has his qualms with Haruya, he recognizes that Haruya's not all bad since he helped retrieve his bike from the river. Kiyotaro and Yamada head into an exhibit that highlights their town. They find a map on the ground, and Kiyotaro learns he lives close to Yamada. Kiyotaro asks if he can take a picture, and Yamada takes his phone so they can shoot a selfie. This flusters him out since he wanted to take a photograph of the map, but he clenches his phone and likes the photo they took together. Kiyotaro contemplating an idea for a story. Afterwards, Kiyotaro visits the school nurse because he has a headache. He learns Yamada visited the office because she's having stomach problems, so Yamada pulls out some candy from her pocket and hands Kiyotaro a pill for his pain. He finds a cup and notices Yamada used it earlier. He struggles to take the medicine but forcefully swallows the pill when Yamada startles him. Yamada leaves, but Kiyotaro notices Yamada left her gym clothes behind but struggles to grab them. The nurse returns and throws Yamada's clothes on Kiyotaro, telling him to return those to her. Kiyotaro attempts to return Yamada's clothes, but she flees to the nurse's office to secure her candy. Kiyotaro returns to class to continue working on his story. Adachi hands Kiyotaro a letter to give to Yamada. Kiyotaro doesn't want to get into trouble with Adachi, so he hands Yamada the letter. However, he hands Yamada his drawing of his female protagonist instead. Kiyotaro leaves the room to look at Adachi's letter, where he discovers Adachi just wanted Yamada's line address. Yamada enters the room and notices someone at her chips. Yamada grabs Kiyotaro's hand and realizes he didn't eat them. Kiyotaro is flabbergasted by Yamada's gesture as it pertains to the test. During basketball practice, Kiyotaro can't seem to fathom this strange feeling he has in his chest. Yamada looks at Kiyotaro from afar and gets hurt by a basketball. The coach takes Yamada to the nurse, and Kiyotaro trails behind them. Kiyotaro hides under the bed to listen to their conversation, as Yamada calls her mother while crying. Yamada drops her wallet, and Kiyotaro notices Yamada keeps his drawing in it. Kiyotaro recounts all his meetups with Yamada and realizes he's in love with her. Kiyotaro returns to class and overhears Adachi telling his friends he has samples of Yamada's bloody tissues. Kiyotaro wants to say something to Adachi but stops since he has blood marks on his shirt. Suddenly, people ask Yamada what happened to her nose, and she tells them she got hit with a basketball. Yamada asks Kobayashi to write the reason for her accident on her bandage. Yamada tells her friends she was worried that her nose would be crooked forever. She feels her manager and parents would have been disappointed in her. Kiyotaro leaves class and notices Yamada ran out of tissues. Kiyotaro returns to the library and leaves several on the tables for Yamada. He hides behind the bookshelf and watches Yamada use the tissues while eating chips as the episode closes out. Kiyotaro questioning what it means to like someone. He notices Yamada stash away a milk carton, and she retreats to the library to make a new meal with it. Kiyotaro follows her to the library and tells Yamada to get a bowl. Yamada and Kiyotaro head to the home rec room to get a bowl. Kiyotaro tells Yamada he's noticed that she loves eating food she has to make. Yamada tells Kiyotaro that she's on a cooking kick. The two sneak into the home economics room to make the food. Yamada tells Kiyotaro that someone's in the other room, so Kiyotaro decides they should remain quiet. They try the food, and a teacher stumbles upon them. During cleaning duty, a girl walks up to Yamada and makes her drop her rag out the window. She heads outside with Kobayashi to retrieve it, where Kiyotaro realizes this female named Kanaoya did something to Yamada and wants to apologize. In the library, Kiyotaro spots Kanaoya looking at Yamada while she's eating. Yamada asks Kiyotaro if she wants to take photos with her, but Kiyotaro refuses, as he doesn't want to get in Kanaoya's way. He leaves the library, and Kanaoya's friend Seikina grabs him. Yamada asks Kanaoya to take a photo with her, and Kanaoya accepts. Afterward, Kanaoya apologizes for throwing the basketball at her. Yamada didn't know Kanaoya did it, startling Kiyotaro. She drops some candy wrappers on the ground, so Seikina and Kanaoya help her pick them up. Kiyotaro heads home and bumps into Yamada, who notices Kiyotaro has got a new bike. Yamada asks Kiyotaro to take her to a snack shop, and he accepts her request, despite feeling uncomfortable. Yamada tells Kiyotaro that she's thinking about quitting the basketball club. Yamada hasn't played in a while and has been forbidden from playing. Kiyotaro notices a police station and starts overreacting. Kiyotaro takes Yamada to her destination, and she rewards him with a treat. The next day, Kiyotaro's teacher informs the class that someone reported that students have been bringing food to the library. He reminds them that students cannot bring food there, although their teacher believes Yamada is the one responsible for doing the deed. Kiyotaro informs the audience their teacher left her off the hook until next week. Kiyotaro's resting at a burger spot and realizes Yamada may not visit the library anymore since she can't eat there. We learn his older sister brought him, and suddenly, Yamada and her friends arrive and sit at the table opposite Kiyotaro and his sister. He overhears their conversation about getting hit on by boys, and Kyotaro's sister embarrasses him for a bit, resulting in Kyotaro leaving to buy himself something. Yamada notices Kyotaro and rushes to speak with him in the line. Kyotaro shares his grievances with his sister, and Yamada says she wishes she had an older sister. Yamada realizes she doesn't have her wallet on her, and Kyotaro asks her why she got in line. It turns out Yamada really wanted to go to the restroom, so Kyotaro tells her they're all upstairs. Yamada leaves him be. Kyotaro gets himself a chicken sandwich and soft service ice cream and bumps into Yamada, who belittles him for getting a dessert that she wanted to get. At school, Yamada asks Kyotaro to accompany her to the teacher's office. Kyotaro helps Yamada get out of trouble, and their teacher is impressed by how talkative he is. Yamada presents Kyotaro with 2 candy options, and after he chooses one, the episode closes with Yamada telling Kyotaro they should talk more like friends. Kyotaro and his classmates participating in a workplace visit. Their teacher tells them to form a group of 6 students with similar interests. Adachi lets Kyotaro join his group, and he agrees with Kenzaki to disband the group since Hara and Yamada's groups need 2 people each. They approach Sekine and ask her for approval. Sekine holds a draft to choose between the 4 of them. After discussing things, they choose Kenzaki. Yamada and Kyotaro pick up on Kenzaki's disappointment and persuade the girls to let him join Hara's group instead. After debating, Adachi and Kyotaro join Sekine's group. Kyotaro spies on Yamada and Hara in the library. Yamada and Hara discuss Kenzaki and Hara's relationship status. Kyotaro is baffled that Kenzaki's making progress despite Kenzaki being a pervert like Adachi. Yamada tells Hara she doesn't have a boyfriend and takes minor offense to Hara's follow-up responses. Yamada and Hara take a selfie together, and Yamada realizes Kyotaro's in the photo. Hara and Yamada confront Kyotaro, but Hara's okay with Kyotaro eavesdropping. After school, Kyotaro realizes it's raining and that people are walking home together with umbrellas. Yamada notices Kyotaro's wearing a raincoat and asks him if she can borrow it. She plans to visit a store to buy an umbrella for him. Kyotaro gives Yamada his raincoat, and she leaves to the store. Kyotaro notices Yamada left her bag and her charge card inside. Kyotaro meets Yamada and tells her she left her charge card inside it. She extends her arms over Kyotaro to protect him from the rain and asks Kyotaro to take it out of her bag and put it in her pocket. Kyotaro discovers an umbrella inside her bag, but Yamada says it's broken. He finds her wallet, puts it in Yamada's shirt pocket, and Yamada leaves, returning with a new umbrella and bag of snacks. The next day, Yamada, Kyotaro, and their group arrive at Akita Publishing. Sakina flaunts her manga knowledge in front of the others, and Kyotaro's worried things won't turn out well for their group. They follow someone into an office full of workers. Adachi tries to find something to discuss with Yamada. Yamada spots a fellow model's art piece in the office. This gives Adachi a chance to talk with her about a common topic they both know. However, Adachi's pervy remarks ruin his chances. Adachi, Yoshida, and Sekine follow a guides woman elsewhere, leaving Kobayashi, Kyotaro, and Yamada behind. Someone comes out and shows Adachi's group some original artwork for Baki. Kyotaro wants to see it but doesn't want to leave Yamada and Kobayashi behind. Yamada notices Kyotaro's angst, so she grabs his hand and takes him to Adachi's group to see the artwork. In an elevator, a man rushes inside and pushes our crew, causing Yamada to get into an intimate position with Kyotaro. And after a quick restroom break, Kyotaro realizes Yamada and himself have separated from the group and missed their train. The episode closes with Yamada and Kyotaro alone at the train station. Kyotaro asking Yamada to take a seat until the next train arrives. To calm Yamada down, Kyotaro buys her some milk tea. He tells Yamada that he's to blame for them getting split up from the group. She imagines him making a declaration of him going to the bathroom and laughs. On the train, Yamada and Kyotaro discuss relationships, where Yamada feels the best relationships are secretive ones. The two reunite with Kobayashi and the others, and Kobayashi apologizes to Yamada for leaving her behind. At home, Kyotaro discusses his grievances with his workplace visit group to his family. Kyotaro's sister acknowledges he's been having more fun at school lately. Kyotaro bumps into Yamada at school. She gives him a few manga volumes of Kimiiro Octave, while Yamada tells Kyotaro she'll be leaving early from school today, so she wants to give it to him. Kyotaro informs the audience that Yamada tends to leave early or stay home from school for work reasons while reading something in the library. Yamada arrives and demands Kyotaro read the book. They get into a scuffle, leading to another intimate moment between them. Embarrassed, Kyotaro asks Yamada if she'll be in school tomorrow. Yamada says she'll be attending school and leaves. Kyotaro realizes he's enjoying school and reads to Kimiiro at home. Adachi spots Kyotaro talking with Yamada about manga, so he approaches Kyotaro afterward and asks him about his close connection with her. He asks if Yamada has a boyfriend and not to let anyone know he asked about it. Kyotaro tells Adachi he doesn't know. Adachi switches the discussion over to something sexual, angering Kyotaro. Kyotaro leaves and questions if his feelings for Yamada are real or fake. He finds her startled in the library because someone posted a warning not to eat there. Kyotaro starts narrowing down people who know Yamada eats in the library. Still, Yamada says it's best to ask the librarian about the sign. The librarian shows Yamada and Kyotaro a honey drop wrapper she found in the library. She feels it's best to have a sign in there since most people tend not to follow the rules unless they see it written for them. Kyotaro and Yamada return to the library. Kyotaro's worried that Yamada won't stop by anymore now that she's lost a reason to. Yamada pulls out chocolates and says she'll continue to eat here despite the sign. Kyotaro spots the librarian and grabs Yamada's hand to avoid the librarian finding out about Yamada's chocolates. Afterward, Kyotaro realizes the chocolate melted in Yamada's hands. Yamada tells him to go away, and Kyotaro tells Yamada it might be best for her to lay off the snacks before leaving. Kyotaro returns to the library the following day and spots Yamada working on homework. Kyotaro spots chocolate underneath her notebook. Yamada promises she's laid off on a third of her snacks. Kyotaro asks Yamada who'd think about throwing food away in the library. Yamada brings up the moment when she gave Kyotaro a bag of chips in the first episode. However, Kyotaro says he never threw it away. The episode concludes with Yamada asking Kyotaro what he did with the bag. At school, Kyotaro tells himself he likes Yamada, but he's okay with things staying the same between them. The students start running their marathons, and Kyotaro realizes Yamada's catching up to him. He doesn't want to lose to a girl, so he picks up the pace. Yamada takes her vest off, and Kyotaro tells her she has her shirt on the wrong way. Kyotaro starts running out of breath, so he slows down. Yamada notices Kyotaro's right eye for the first time and compliments Kyotaro. After running, Kyotaro helps Yamada off the ground, and she playfully bumps into him. Kyotaro realizes he has Yamada's marathon vest and that she has his. He contemplates what the others would say if they discovered Yamada had his shirt. Yamada puts Kyotaro's vest on during class while their teacher calls Adachi to solve a question. Kyotaro fears Adachi will notice Yamada wearing his vest, and when Kyotaro asks his teacher if he can solve the question on the board, and he allows it. Kyotaro tries alerting Yamada that she's wearing his vest, but she just stares at him. Adachi asks Kyotaro why he's trying to pose while his teacher tells him he got the question wrong. Kyotaro returns to his desk, defeated. After their lunch break, Yamada asks Kyotaro to visit the nurse's office with her. Yamada returns Kyotaro's sports outfit to him, and Kyotaro wonders when she noticed they were swapped. Kyotaro helps Yamada check her height but doesn't want to check his. This results in the two squabbling and Yamada landing on the weight scale. They get into another argument, this time about Yamada's weight. Kyotaro overhears everyone discussing Yamada's role in an upcoming film the following day. In doing so, Kyotaro notices Yamada is not showing as much enthusiasm about it as the others. He wonders if she's feeling sorrowful for poor folks like him and the others. Their teacher enters the room and asks the class to pick a piece of paper from a box. They'll be switching seats, and as it happens, Adachi sits next to Yamada, and Kyotaro is behind them both and next to Hara. Kyotaro believes this will go well for him but realizes it's not all good since Yamada is making it hard for him to copy notes on the board. Yamada looks behind her and thinks Kyotaro's checking her out. Kyotaro ruins Adachi's chances of having an intimate moment with Yamada, and he tries leaning to the left to see the board and winds up resting his head on Hara's shoulder. Hara asks Kyotaro if she wants to copy his notes and moves her desk next to his. Kyotaro looks at Yamada, who gives him a nasty glance in return. After the lecture, Kyotaro notices Yamada in a sour mood and wonders why, until Yamada says he must be happy sitting next to Hara since she's nice and cute. Kyotaro tells Yamada that all he sees is her. Before he can tell her, she makes it difficult to see the board. The two have an intimate moment with each other. Kyotaro explains what he meant by his words in the library to Yamada, and says that it's taken care of now. He and Adachi have taken the front seats, while Yamada and Hara take the ones behind them. Kyotaro asks Yamada about her role in movies, and Yamada prattles on, sharing her iconic line from the role. Kyotaro feels personally attacked since it involves creeps, while Yamada practices her line with Kyotaro, and he notices a group of girls gossiping. He asks Yamada if they can go to a less crowded area, and the two enter a small room. Yamada asks Kyotaro if he'll see her movie when it releases, and Kyotaro is unsure if he will. After Yamada eggs him on, Kyotaro says he'll try to see it. Yamada smiles and tells Kyotaro what they're doing, Yamada flaunting her above-average grades to Kobayashi. Kyotaro helps Kobayashi with her math homework. Yamada's jealous that Kyotaro never tutored her. Kobayashi tells Yamada that parent-teacher conferences are coming up. She tells Yamada she should consider studying harder. Kobayashi recognizes Kyotaro's mathematical knowledge and says she knows he's part of the school's data processing club. Kobayashi tells Kyotaro that Yamada told her and says she's been talking about him a lot lately. Yamada says she likes to talk about many people, while Kyotaro thinks Yamada brings him up in conversations to belittle him. He's worried about his appointment with his mother and teacher. Kyotaro sees Yamada and her mother sitting next to his mother. Yamada overhears Kyotaro's mother talking about him and realizes who she is. Yamada's happy and nervous to discuss things with Kyotaro's mother. His mom tells her that Kyotaro's been telling her that he's been liking school a lot lately. Kyotaro's mother gives Yamada a throat lozenge while Yamada hands her a piece of candy from her pocket. After their conference, Kyotaro doesn't want anyone spotting him with his mother. His mother's proud of him for participating more in class and says she exchanged candies with a stunning girl. Meanwhile, Yamada trails behind them. His mother asks him if she knows who he's talking about, and Kyotaro says, Yamada. Yamada walks past them and is just as embarrassed as Kyotaro. Kyotaro and Yamada discuss Yamada's encounter with his mother in the library the following day. The school's librarian greets them. Kyotaro panics because he spots Yamada's lozenge on the table and doesn't want the librarian to discover food in the library. He whispers in Yamada's ear to hide the throat drop. She gets all flustered and runs away from him, causing the librarian to look at her while he hides the lozenge. Later, Kyotaro rides home in the rain and spots Yamada with an umbrella. He tells Yamada he forgot his raincoat, so Yamada places a bag on his head. Kyotaro Kyotaro tells Yamada that he doesn't want the bag. Yamada puts her belongings in his bike's basket and sits on his bike's back seat. She plans to protect him from the rain with her umbrella. Kyotaro says it could be dangerous for him to ride with her on his bike in the rain. Yamada agrees and lets him ride alone. Kyotaro reaches his home and notices Yamada's belongings in his basket. Kyotaro rushes to the station and gives her stuff to her. Kyotaro returns home and looks through Yamada's Instagram profile. Kyotaro wakes up and learns he has a fever. He watches television and stays home. Kyotaro hears his doorbell and learns Yamada's waiting outside. He rushes out and speaks with her. Yamada hands him some food they received at school today and apologizes for stopping him in the rain. Kyotaro tells her to pay it no mind. Before Yamada leaves, Kyotaro asks her to come inside for some tea. Yamada asks if anyone's home and Kyotaro says his mother works part-time. Kyotaro prepares tea for Yamada but notices he's not wearing proper clothing. He excuses himself to his room, but faints before he can put something on. Yamada notices the tea's finished but worries about Kyotaro's health. She sees him lying on the ground in his room. Yamada helps him into his bed and dresses him up in warm clothes. Kyotaro wonders if he's dreaming, and the two hug. Kyotaro wakes up and sees his sister looming over him. His sister shows him the cream Yamada gave him before Kyotaro invited her inside. His sister hands Kyotaro Yamada's note. Kyotaro overcomes his fever the following day, and his mother tells him she spotted Yamada yesterday. Yamada and Kyotaro discussing line and group chats. Yamada asks Kyotaro if the data processing club has a line group chat, but Kyotaro doesn't know nor plan to ask his club if he can join it, irritating Yamada. In class, Seikine informs her friends she wants to get a boyfriend before Christmas. She says she plans to lend her line ID to all the boys in class. Yamada thinks her plan's brilliant and proceeds chatting with Kyotaro. Seikine interferes in their conversation and asks Kyotaro for his line ID. They exchange IDs, angering Yamada. Seikine says she should exchange IDs with higher-ranked guys and brings up Ishimuro, the track team's ace. Although Kyotaro doesn't want to stop Yamada from getting Ishimura's ID, he can't help but feel jealous. After recalling their conversation in the library, Kyotaro freaks out in class. This convinces Yamada not to exchange her line ID with Ishimura. Kyotaro spots Yamada chatting with Haruya in school. Haruya makes the moves on Yamada and convinces Kobayashi to come to his place to play a new video game. He says Yamada's welcome to stop by if she wants. Yamada tells Kobayashi she's not going to Haruya's place in class. Kobayashi says she'll visit his place with Seikine instead. Yamada tells Kobayashi she should reconsider going but doesn't explain why. Kyotaro knows it's because Yamada doesn't want to tell Kobayashi that Haruya invited her as bait to get Yamada to go. Yamada says she doesn't trust Haruya, but Kobayashi insists on going. Kyotaro spots Yamada crying in the library. The girl who hung out with Haruya arrives in the library with her friend. Kyotaro leaves the table for a minute. The girl apologizes for Haruya's behavior. The girls butter Yamada up, saying she probably has a boyfriend. Yamada looks at Kyotaro, clenches her fists, and tells the girls she doesn't have one numerous times. She turns to Kyotaro and promises she doesn't. The girls look at the two of them and leave the library. Kyotaro's confused about everything but tells Yamada she shouldn't hang around him when others are present. Yamada gets closer to Kyotaro when she notices Haruya and the girl walk into the library. Haruya sees Yamada and Kyotaro getting somewhat intimate with each other and leaves the library. Yamada apologizes to Kyotaro, who's baffled by what happened. Kyotaro walks through the halls and overhears Seikine telling Kobayashi the harsh truth about Haruya's willingness to invite her to his home. Kobayashi plays it off like she knew that was his intention as Kyotaro spies on them all. After class, Kobayashi approaches Yamada and tells her she's not going to Haruya's place. Yamada's happy, and the two venture out somewhere. Kyotaro feels Yamada's been using him this whole time to get closer to Haruya. Kyotaro returns to reading his murder encyclopedia book in class and notes he doesn't visit the library anymore. Nor does he care. Yamada approaches Kyotaro somewhere in the school and asks him if he's mad at her for being too close to him. Kyotaro says he's got places to be, but hears Yamada crying. Kyotaro realizes Yamada isn't the type of person to use people and questions if his mind just wanted to give him an excuse to hate her. Kyotaro tells Yamada he isn't mad at her, and the two hug it out and head home together. He returns Yamada's manga to her and shares his favorite moment. She plans to bring him the next book Monday. Monday arrives, but Yamada forgets her book while Seikine's upset she failed to get a boyfriend. She would bring the next volume tomorrow, but Kyotaro reminds her that winter break starts tomorrow. Yamada and Kyotaro exchange line IDs and plan to meet by Hachiko in Shibuya. The episode closes with Yamada telling Kyotaro goodnight over line. Kyotaro waiting for Yamada to arrive in Hachiko to receive the next manga volume from her. He notices Yamada standing around and approaches her. Yamada asks Kyotaro to follow her to a place in the city. As they walk, Kyotaro removes his hood and mask to avoid looking creepy. Yamada tells Kyotaro to hold onto the bag so they won't get lost. They arrive at an eatery because Yamada wants to eat the place's pancakes. When the waitress leaves, Yamada notices Kyotaro loves wearing dark clothes. She admits she likes wearing dark clothing too, and Kyotaro says it must look great on her because she'd probably make it look stylish and cool. Kyotaro contemplates his day with Yamada so far while she explains how her stylist has the same sentiments. Kyotaro starts regretting meeting Yamada outside of school since he feels he can't connect with her on a personal level. The waitress returns with their food, and Yamada asks Kyotaro to take a photo of her eating her meal for her socials. Kyotaro says it'd be best to shoot a video, and Yamada agrees. Kyotaro tells Yamada it might be a bad idea to upload those videos. Yamada says she's not uploading them because she wants to send them all to him. Yamada and Kyotaro visit a clothing shop, and he says she looks fine in the outfit while feeling bad that he made Yamada pay for their meal. Yamada finds two dresses and asks Kyotaro which one he finds cuter. He points toward the pink one, so Yamada changes into it in one of the booths. When she's finished dressing up and exits the booth, she spots Kyotaro attempting to leave because of his thoughts regarding Yamada changing clothes. Yamada tells Kyotaro to wait near the booth. Kyotaro notices his sister and her friends entering the store, and Yamada finishes putting on the other dress. Kyotaro tells Yamada to keep it down because his sister's here. Yamada wants to introduce herself, but Kyotaro refuses to let his sister know he's with Yamada. Kyotaro's sister grabs some shorts and heads for a booth. Yamada grabs Kyotaro and pulls him into the booth. Kyotaro apologizes to Yamada for this, but she says it's okay. Kyotaro says Yamada can meet his sister another time. Kyotaro tells Yamada the red dress looks great on her, so Yamada plans to buy it and wear it. Yamada and Kyotaro leave the store. Yamada apologizes to Kyotaro for dragging him out to different places. Kyotaro notices Yamada might be worried, so he opens up about some aspects of his life to ease her mind. He tells her he's not a people person and isn't afraid to turn down invitations. However, he said he had fun today. Yamada wraps her scarf around Kyotaro and tells him she knew he had a blast today. Kyotaro and Yamada stare at some gorgeous lights in the city and visit the train station. Kyotaro asks Yamada for the bag with the manga and grabs it. They get into a tight predicament, causing them to split up on the train. Kyotaro grabs Yamada's hand unknowingly, and they continue to walk home. Kyotaro says he and Yamada didn't know when to stop holding hands. He worries she might realize how he feels about her. Yamada and Kyotaro reach his home and stop holding hands. Yamada tells Kyotaro not to tell her Happy New Year yet because they have got some days left in December. Kyotaro at a restaurant with Seikine, Haruya, and someone else. Haruya asks Kyotaro what Yamada has been up to as we see Kyotaro's arm injury. We then cut to 4 days ago, with Kyotaro and his family on their annual trip to Akita. Kyotaro's upset that he's stuck sharing a room with his sister. Kyotaro heads outside to take photos of Akita's snow since he promised Yamada he would send her a photo. Kyotaro trips and his sister finds him hours later in the snow. Kyotaro gets up but notices he's broken his arm. After returning from the hospital and having dinner with his folks, Kyotaro sends Yamada a photo of him and his broken arm. Yamada video calls Kyotaro at night and notices Yamada's wearing her pajamas. Yamada asks Kyotaro about his arm, but he promises it doesn't hurt. Kyotaro says he'll be heading home tomorrow. Kyotaro sees his sister spying on him and Yamada's conversation. Kyotaro convinces his sister that she's simply a friend from school and hopes she doesn't tease him for it. Surprisingly, his sister doesn't mock him and returns to sleep. Kyotaro looks at his phone and notices Yamada sent him a message asking him about the situation with his sister and why he stopped the call. Kyotaro tells Yamada that he told her that they're friends for now, and this makes Yamada happy. Yamada asks Kyotaro if she can call him again, worrying him. Kyotaro heads into the hallway to continue his conversation with Yamada. She asks Kyotaro to perform some tasks that seem to correlate with themes in the manga she's reading. They send each other goodnight texts to end the night. Kyotaro and his family return to Tokyo but stop by an antique shop. He picks up a dog keychain and wants to give it to Yamada. When they return home, Kyotaro leaves to give Yamada her manga and scarf back, alongside the keychain he bought for her at Akita. He bumps into Yamada walking her dog, Wantaro. They visit a park, and Kyotaro's worried that he bought Yamada a bad gift. Yamada asks Kyotaro to give Wantaro some commands, but he doesn't obey his orders. This results in Yamada performing the actions instead to entice Wantaro to listen to Kyotaro. Her attempts fail, so they give up. Yamada grabs her scarf from Kyotaro's bag since he wanted to return it to her. Yamada admits she wanted him to keep it, so Kyotaro presents Yamada with the keychain he bought for her in Akita. Yamada thanks Kyotaro for the gift. Yamada asks Kyotaro if he wants to visit a temple with her on New Year's Eve. He agrees to go with her, so Yamada plans to text him the details later. Several days later, Kyotaro informs the audience he's been texting Yamada every day. He visits the nearby mart and spots Seikine and Haruya with another friend. We then cut to where the episode began, with Haruya attempting to use Kyotaro to get closer to Yamada. Suddenly, Yamada's name pops up on Kyotaro's phone, and he realizes Kyotaro was lying about not having her line. Seikine and the other girl leave Kyotaro and Haruya. Haruya sits in front of Kyotaro and demands Yamada's line. Kyotaro refuses to hand over Yamada's line to Haruya, so Seikine steps in and asks Kyotaro to walk her home. Although Haruya says he can walk Seikine home, Seikine says she trusts Kyotaro because they're friends. While walking home together, Kyotaro tells Seikine that he thinks he likes Yamada. Seikine already knew he did as they arrive at her place. She asks Kyotaro if he wants to come inside, but he refuses and leaves. He calls Yamada. He tells her, Happy New Year, and hangs up when she tells her Seikine's inside. The episode closes with Kyotaro vowing to confess his feelings to Yamada one day. Kyotaro and his family visiting the New Year temple event. Kyotaro plans to make up an excuse for his family to leave somewhere. This will allow him to meet up with Yamada in an hour. Unfortunately, his mother spots Yamada waiting for him, surprising Kyotaro. Kyotaro's sister Kana tells Kyotaro to say hi to Yamada, but he knows she wants to stand by and watch. Yamada spots Kyotaro with his family and introduces herself to them. They head for a temple to make their wishes alone, and Yamada helps Kyotaro out with it since his arm's broken. As they head over to Kyotaro's family, Yamada asks Kyotaro about his wish. Although he didn't get a chance to make a wish, Kyotaro says he wished for things to stay the same. Yamada bids everyone farewell while Kyotaro plots to meet up with her again soon. Kana praises Kyotaro for his maturity in the situation. Before they head to another location, Kana grabs Kyotaro and attempts to catch up with Yamada to make a better first impression. Kana and Kyotaro find Yamada eating food. Kana asks Yamada if she'd like to visit their home, and Yamada accepts. As they walk to their place, Kana realizes Yamada may have bought food for Kyotaro and thinks he has a solid chance with her. At Kyotaro's home, Yamada removes her jacket and shoes, and Kyotaro notices she has his keychain on. He's worried Kana will see it because of the lie he told her in a previous episode. Kyotaro tries grabbing the keychain from Yamada's waist, and Kana thinks Kyotaro's putting the moves on Yamada. Kana asks Kyotaro what she should call Yamada, and Yamada plays along with it to embarrass Kyotaro. Kana tells Yamada she has to go meet up with friends, but asks Yamada to stay with Kyotaro since they have leftover soup. Kyotaro hides behind the door to eavesdrop on Kana's conversation with Yamada. Kana thanks Yamada for being close friends with Kyotaro. Yamada asks Kana if she can call her sister, surprising Kana. Kana leaves as Yamada enters the living room. Kyotaro plans to remove the albums, but Yamada follows him to his room. Yamada looks at Kyotaro's trophies and spots his bizarre crime files murders-book. Kyotaro explains what it is to her while Yamada thinks it's neat. Yamada asks Kyotaro if he can read her mind, but Kyotaro says he knows she's not a murderer. Yamada toys with Kyotaro, and before she can spot his copy of Seal magazine, Kyotaro stops her. They get into an intimate situation, resulting in Yamada taking some photos of his yearbook and leaving his room. Before she goes, Yamada promises Kyotaro to show him her yearbook. His mother drops him off at school, and Yamada spooks him. Kana asks Yamada to look after Kyotaro since this is his first day back since being hurt. As they walk to class, Yamada asks Kyotaro where his keychain is. Kyotaro shows it to her, and Yamada helps him strap it onto his shirt. Kyotaro reflects on his past interactions with Yamada. Kyotaro tells Yamada back in year 1 he never wanted to visit school and even lied about attending events. Now, he likes visiting places and coming to school thanks to her. Yamada says she should be thanking himself because he never would have talked with her or anyone else. Yamada picks up his books and Kyotaro reflects on how he used his murder books as armor to protect himself. Yamada hugs Kyotaro, and he thanks her for everything. Yamada hands Kyotaro an empty shrimp snack bag. However, the episode closes with Yamada giving Kyotaro a spare shrimp candy.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.